Hello, I'm Brother Taylor. Today I'd like to talk about indirect object pronouns. Here we have, I'd like to talk for a second about the difference between a direct object and an indirect object. A direct object is an object like this, that comes right after the verb. And notice there's no ah here. She's speaking French. So this is what she's speaking. Notice a direct object pronoun usually answers the question what. For example, what is she speaking? She's speaking French. Could mean also who, but in a direct object sense, like who does she see? She sees the woman. Notice both of these are direct objects because there's no preposition here. Preposition is like ah. Here there's no ah. Notice that. She speaks, and then here we just have the noun right after the verb. So that means these are direct objects. Okay, right here. They're direct objects. Now here in this one, notice I could even put like this here, but notice you have this preposition, she's speaking to the friend. Notice you have to here, so it's not direct. It's not considered grammatically direct, it's indirect. So with the direct object pronouns, what we do, for example, she speaks French. If we want to say she speaks it, you just say elle le parle, right? Or she sees her, elle la voit, because remember, our direct object pronouns are le, la, and les. This is on page 217 of your book if you want to review direct object pronouns. A really important page, by the way. I'd review that page and memorize it if I were a student. But here, so that's direct object. Indirect object pronouns are like are lui and le, or these are some of them at least. And lui means to him or to her, depending on what you're replacing, if I can write her correctly. And leur means to them. Generally, it could be to them, masculine or feminine. So she speaks to the friend. She speaks to him. It's a him. It would be elle lui parle. Isn't that interesting? So notice the same placement. You always place these before in front of the verbs that modify them. She speaks to him. Elle va dire la vérité à ses parents. Notice here, she's going to tell the truth to her parents. Notice here, you obviously have an indirect object pronoun because it's an a plus a person. By the way, kind of the definition of an indirect object pronoun is a and a person. So here you have a and a person. So this is obviously indirect. So she wants to say she's going to tell the truth to them. You're going to say elle va leur dire la vérité. Okay? Interestingly. So here actually you have two objects, a direct and an indirect, but we just want to replace the indirect here for instructional purposes. But you can actually just keep this and just replace this as well. So for example, she's going to tell the truth to her parents. She's going to tell it, meaning the truth. This would be la. Let's just assume that we'll keep this. Right here. And she wants to tell it to her parents. You would actually say it just like this. Elle va la dire à ses parents. So here, the la vérité would actually, she's going to tell it, meaning the truth, to her parents. So you could replace one or the other. It just depends on what you want to say. You can actually replace both, but that's actually a different lesson. But I'll show you how to say that. Elle va dire la vérité à ses parents. Elle va la leur dire is how you would do both of those. But usually, for the moment, you need to get good at just recognizing direct or indirect. Usually there won't be two. in the phrases that we'll give you for at least at the moment, because it gets a little more complicated. So let's go back to indirect object pronouns. Again, an indirect object pronoun is a pronoun that represents a plus a person. So if I have something like this, elle a parlé à ses parents. She spoke to her parents. Notice that would be leur, because it's to them, it's plural. Elle, leur, a parlé. If you put this right here, right, she spoke to them. Notice this leur goes in front of the conjugated verb. And this is the conjugated verb. That's why leur is here and not right here. If you're wondering about placement, again, of pronouns, again, study page 217. One thing about indirect object pronouns is there's no agreement with past participles ever in any compound tense. So notice I wouldn't add an S here because this is plural. Or assuming this was a girl right here, and this she spoke to her. So let's see, elle a parlé à l'amie. She spoke to the girl. She spoke to her. There would be no extra E here if this were she spoke to her. There would be no extra E. There's never any agreement with indirect object pronouns, only direct. So, and again, that's on page 217. Make sure you review that for page 217. But with indirect, there's no any agreement, so the verbs don't really change. If with avoir. Être verbs is a different thing. You just have a subject modifying the past participle. So it's kind of a different realm. Okay, thank you.